Welcome to the channel Style by C. Today's tutorial will be on how to recreate this beautiful bubu gown or bubu dress I'm putting on. Do subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and see you in our subsequent tutorials. Love you. Oh my loves, this is my fabric. I have a fold of two into two places. So one is going to be serving as my back piece and the other one is going to be serving as the front piece. Okay, so now this is my startup line and this is where I'm going to be marking my shoulder, my sleeve measurements. Okay, so first thing first I have to do is I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement. So the shoulder measurement I'm working with for this tutorial is 8 inches, which is here. I'm also going to mark my sleeve length. How long do you want your sleeve to be? So for this tutorial, I'm working with 10 inches for my sleeve length. You can decide to use 9 inches, which I'm going to be working with. I think 10 inches is a bit too long for me. So I marked my 9 inches here. So I'm working with 9 inches. Now on this same shoulder line, I'm going to mark 3 inches, which is my neck width. Now where I have the depth of my, the tip of my sleeve, I'm going to come down to 1 inch. This 1 inch is for my shoulder slope, and I'm going to connect it to the 3 inches I have. And this is what we have. Now from this point now, the 1 inch shoulder slope we're going to go down to 10 inches. At 10 inches, this is where we're going to be having our arm opening. This is for our arm opening. And the same point, that is where we're going to mark our bust measurements. So I'm going to measure what I have from my sleeve length to the center of my fabric, and I have 17 inches. So I'm going to go ahead to mark it on this same 10 inches I have, which is here, and I'll connect the 2 points using my rule. Alright, so now at this point now I'm going to mark my bust measurement. So my bust measurement is 8.75 inches. Sorry, I need to adjust this properly. And I'm going to be adding my ease allowance. So you can decide to work with 3 inches, 4 inches, depending on how bold or how big you want yours to be. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be working with 3 inches for ease. And this is what I have here. Now from the shoulder line again, I'm going to go down to 16 inches. At 16 inches, I'm going to have my waist measurements. At 24 inches, I'm going to have my hip measurements. So on the waist, I'm going to mark my waist measurements. And I'm also going to add the extra 3 inches for ease. Same thing for my hip. I'll also add the 3 inches for my ease. Alright, now I'm going to connect these 3 points together from the waist, from the bust, down to the waist, from the waist down to the hip measurements. And this is what we have. Now this is where we have the arm opening here. So I'm going to connect this point towards where my bust measurement stops. Okay, now we have a very sharp curve here. How do we correct this? All you have to do is just go in to make a curve at this area and blend it in very well. All right, now from the hip, I'm going to trace it down all the way to the bottom of my dress. Now, for this tutorial, we're going to be having an opening at the base of the dress. So from the base of the dress, I'm going to go up to 15 inches. This is for my opening. So if I'm stitching my dress and I get to this point that I have 15 inches, I'm going to tight it. Alright, so now let's work on the neck depth. So for my front neck, my back neck depth first, I'm going to be working with 1.5 inches for the neck depth. And I'm going to connect it to my neck width. And this is what I have. Now for our front neck. From the shoulder line, I'm going to go down to 10 inches, 10 to 11 inches. So where I have this point now, I'm going to mark 1 inch inwards. So from this 1 inch now, I'm going to connect it all the way down to the base of my gown. And so my loves, this is what we have. Now I'm going to be connecting from this 1 inch, from my 10 inches, I will mark 1 inch. We're going to be connecting to the neck width here. So I'll go ahead to make this connection. And this is what I have. So the next point now is to proceed in cutting this out. So first thing first is I'm going to be cutting out my neck width. I'm going to cut out the 2 neck widths together. That is the back neck width and the front neck width, which I've done. Now I'm going to cut out this front neck differently. Please don't cut your back the same way with your front, but the shoulder slope is going to be the same thing. So my loves, this is what we have. Now we're going to pieces it, like we're going to bring it out. So this is for front and this is for back piece. So I'm going to place it this way. I'm going to place it right side facing each other. And I'm going to go ahead and join the 2 shoulders together. That is the back and the front shoulder, the back and the front shoulder, this way. Alright, so let's do that quickly. I'm done joining my 2 shoulders together. The next thing I went ahead to do was to fold the sleeve. Okay, I went ahead to hem my sleeve, and this is what I have. Now we're going to be working on the collar piece of our dress. So all you have to do is just fold your fabric into 2, starting from the back neckline. So this is what I have. I'm going to have to fold it this way. Now I'm going to take the measurement of what I have. So this is the center piece. I'm going to measure it all the way down to the base of the gown. So at this point I have 62 inches and I still have some leftovers which I'm going to measure. 62, right? Then 62 plus 4, we have 66 inches. So one side of the collar is going to be 66 inches and the other side is going to be 66 inches. So we're going to be having 66 inches on a fold to cut out our collar piece for our dress. Now my loves, the next thing we're going to be introducing is this is our asoeke fabric for this tutorial. Okay, so first thing first you're going to do now is, first thing first I did was to iron it on a fold. This is it. So I went ahead to fold it and iron it down. Now I'm going to find the center piece of my asoeke piece. So all I have to do is just to fold it in, get the center. And this is the center of my asoeke. Alright, so I'm going to use my chalk on it. Alright, now I'm going to open up this piece this way, and I'm going to keep it like this. Alright, so now the next thing I'm going to mark is how deep I want my neck piece to be. Alright, so from this point now I'm going to be marking about 10 to 12 inches depending on how wide I want it to be. But to be on the safe side, I think you should measure what you have on your round back neckline. So you may be having around 3 to 4 inches or 3.5 inches. You mark it here. So let's say I have 3.5. This is it there. Now from this point now, I'm going to mark how deep I want my front neckline to be. So for this, I'm going to be working with 8.5 to 9 inches. And this is what I have. Now I'm going to be having opening at this place. From this folded part, the center piece of our dress, of our collar or of our asoeke, to this point, I'm not going to stitch on it. I'm not going to stitch on it. So I have 12.5 here. I'm not going to stitch on it. I'm going to leave it open. All right. Now from this point now, I'm going to make a stitch all the way down to the base of this asoeke fabric I have. Now note that there is a front slit. We have a slit at the front of our dress. So to achieve that now, from the base of your asoeke, you're going to measure how open you want your fabric to be. How open do you want your slit to be? How deep do you want your slit to be? Do you want it to be at 22, 20? The choice is now totally yours. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be marking 20 inches. That is how deep I want my asoeke to be. All right, so you can decide to work with 18, 16, depend on what you want. The choice is now yours. Okay, but from what we have in this tutorial, on the thumbnail, it should be around 20, 21, 22 inches. So I'm going to be marking 20 inches for mine. So any stitch I'm making, when I get to this point, I'm going to hold. All right, so that's what I'm going to do now. Then we'll come back again. So my loves, at this point now, I'm done running a stitch on the center of my fabric, and this is what I have. Now we're going to open this up. If you open it up, this is what you will have. So I'll open it up and I'll iron it down. Okay, so I've opened it up already. This is what our slit is looking like, but we need to iron this to give it that flat thin look or flattened look. Yeah, so I'll go ahead to iron this down now. Then we'll come back and proceed. So my loves, now we are introducing our fabric again. We're going to be joining this fabric and our collar piece together. Now we're going to get the center piece of our collar, which is here, and this is the center of our fabric. Now I'm going to place it the right side to this, right side facing each other. And this is what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and run a stitch all the way down to the base of my gown. All right. So my loves, the next thing I'm going ahead to do now is to fix my first pocket. So for this fabric, I just went ahead to cut out my asoeke piece, and I have 10 inches long. That is the length of the asoeke piece. Now I'm going to be pinning it down on my dress. I say the first pocket. I'm not putting my hand in it. It's just to create that illusion of a pocket. So this is going to be kicking off 1 inch above my waist measurement. So all I have to do is just pin it down, and I'll go ahead and run a stitch on it. This point, I think I want to put a twist to my dress. This is what it's looking like. But this pocket is here, and I feel like putting a twist, like placing this particular pocket on this one instead of keeping it here. Like instead of placing it to be same here, no, it doesn't really give me of that vibe. Since it's the first pocket and I'm not putting my hands in it, so I'm thinking of keeping it somewhere here. What do you think? Is it odd? Now the next thing I went ahead to do is to mark my shaping line. So I'll go ahead now to join the two sides together. Now it's optional if you want to add a pocket to yours. Okay,